when I was talking about rose-colored glasses, like, oh, but the old CODs didn't have SBMM and they retained players great. First of all, I don't think anybody has the true retention data. Like, you don't know what the active player counts were on the old CODs. Like, I don't know that Activision even knows that.
You know, guys, here in the Call of Duty community, unfortunately, we're faced with sort of an epidemic where typically, okay, let's make this very clear, majority of the time, this is coming out of gooch lickers where certain data is presented to us and they kind of pick and choose which ones they want to deem relevant. For example, we'll have times where the data will show that Call of Duty is the best-selling game of the year and they'll hold on to it like it's gospel, but then at the same time, we'll have data that shows that Call of Duty is not doing too hot on a specific platform, and all of a sudden, that doesn't indicate anything, so it's a little difficult to get it through the brains of some of these gooch lickers that having certain data really does make an inference for the quality and health of Call of Duty. And to start this video off, I have a tweet to present to you guys from the Scat Master himself, and I really want you guys to genuinely try to answer this question. Does anyone have any actual evidence of the player base being larger on consoles than it is on PC in modern COD? Because we have proof of the opposite. Also, does anyone have actual proof of player counts being higher on Battle.net or Game Pass over Steam? And I'm not joking, like, I really want people, especially you die-hard Call of Duty fanboys, you know, a lot of you guys that really go hard for Activision's gooch. There seems to be a lot of you guys that honestly would give up your human rights if it meant Activision and Bobby Cosby got less criticism. So to these people, I want you to seriously answer these questions. If you don't have proof, if you don't have the data to back up any of those claims, step to the left and let the intellectuals take over in this portion of the video, because guys, when it comes to the data that we have available in Call of Duty, no matter what time setting it is, one thing is for certain, the gooch lickers are really pushing the boundaries as to who deserves human rights and who does not. And for YouTube's sake, I understand the moderators out there, you know, they gotta keep a close eye out on the Scat Master for stuff like this, but let me make it clear, they absolutely do not deserve human rights. But before we get into the biggest brain-dead moronic loser that we've seen in quite some time here in this video, I need you guys to do me a favor, leave a like on today's video, subscribe if you're new, and if you don't, I'm gonna have to make that obnoxious noise again. YouTube moderator, I need you to wipe my ass while I shit!
Stop it! You say one more line, and I'm about to smoke myself!
Also, down in the comments below, you already know what to do. Hashtag Fooly50. We're steadily on the way, making great progress. Be a part of the cause. But guys, check this out. This is actually a tweet that was tweeted and directed to Blame Truth. This guy tagged Blame Truth because essentially the guy that gave us the data about skill-based matchmaking a couple of weeks ago, if you remember, I guess we decided to put him on a platform and give him a section on a podcast so he can spew nonsense. And I'm actually gonna go ahead and roll that clip for you guys right now.
When I was talking about rose-colored glasses, like, oh, but the old CODs didn't have SBMM and they retained players great. It's like, you don't know what the active player counts were on the old CODs. Like, I don't know that Activision even knows that.
And in response to this clip, Blame Truth himself says, "This guy is brain dead. We literally had the numbers shown to us 24/7 and a world map even to show where they came from. Hearing casuals talk about Call of Duty like they're experts is infuriating. Please just shut up and buy your stupid skin, bro." I mean, that last part is definitely facts. I understand a lot of these gooch lickers nowadays. I mean, clearly they be busting it open, twerking for Activision on the goddamn pole. I'm not too sure if they're very qualified to be speaking about statistics or data or anything that actually matters when it comes to having common sense. And that's just my opinion. If that offends you, please, top right corner, there's a red X. Kindly get out of here or close your eyes. I don't know, whatever fits you. Guys, it's dangerous to be giving people this sort of platform because they will literally spew genuine lies, okay? And this is what makes the Call of Duty community seem a lot less intelligent than a lot of these other communities in the gaming industry. Our average IQ definitely has to be below the mean and median across every other community's IQs, specifically because of stuff like this. I mean, this guy's clip literally has like every form of cope from the Call of Duty community gooch lickers that you could possibly imagine. Talking about rose-tinted glasses, as if we don't look back on the golden era of Call of Duty, knowing that there's problems in games like Modern Warfare 2. That game was updated like twice. Also, the last Call of Duty title in the golden era was Black Ops 2, and barely even a year after that, we have Call of Duty Ghosts, which, in the eyes of a lot of us, is genuinely a horrid game.
That shit stinks.
So talking about rose-tinted glasses already just shows me that you don't know what you're talking about, because we have critiques not only for the golden era CODs, but several other games from way back when. And then his whole thing where he tried to mock people talking about how the older CODs didn't have SBMM, and if it did exist back then, it clearly is not the same algorithm and matchmaking system that is used in current Call of Duty. That's evident. I don't even think the dumbest gooch licker out there would disagree with that, and if they do, I mean, hey man, I'm not saying you don't deserve those certain rights, but you're kinda pushing the boundaries, I'm not gonna lie.
Shut up, Mimsy!
And then he starts spewing the nonsense about how we don't have data from the older CODs that would prove that the player counts were high or that the retention was high. And this is the reason why we don't just give anybody a platform, because we literally have data that disproves both of those statements. First of all, as Blame Truth and literally everybody else stated, we had active player counts displayed right there in front of the goddamn main menu for everybody to see. It was not a secret, it was shown loud and proud, because honestly, those player counts back then were deservedly great. And we're talking about one platform at a time. We're either talking about Xboxes or PlayStation 3s. So for this guy to really sit there and claim that we didn't have the player counts back in the day, not only is completely false, but when he talks about how we don't know if those games retained players, not only do we know that to be a complete and utter lie, we have the receipts. This guy, Saeed, comes out with this tweet and says, Black Ops 1, the 28th of February in 2011, 4 months after launch, 3 million players on multiplayer on Xbox 360 alone. That is one title, one platform, months and months after launch. And he has another one, Black Ops 1, 29th of October 2012, almost 2 years after launch, and there's 200,000 players on PS3. And 2 years after Black Ops 1 was Black Ops 2, and God knows we've seen the player counts for that game so many times, and especially after Black Ops 2 released, and we got into COD Ghosts and even the Jetpack era CODs, people would still go back to Black Ops 2 and play that, and we've seen player counts as high as the 100,000s several times. So to really sit there and believe that back in the day we didn't retain players, when you can see the retained players through the player counts after those games' launch periods, really just shows me that this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. And not only have we given this guy a platform, but you know the gooch lickers are gonna eat this up. They eat up Activision's gooch from the back every goddamn day. Why wouldn't they eat this up? Like, these bozos will really sit there, do spinning tricks on Activision's meat stick, and people like myself will call them stupid because they're being stupid, and then people think I'm rage baiting. Guys, this is the cycle that we experience here in the Call of Duty community, which is why I'm here to say that the Call of Duty community, honestly, I don't know if we collectively suffer from brain damage. I don't know if the gooch lickers are just picking and choosing what is relevant versus what's not, even when we have the data to disprove certain things. I mean, I'm still sitting here waiting for the data that shows that Call of Duty is bigger on consoles than it is on PC, and I can almost guarantee you that nobody has that information down in the comments below. What we do have is information that shows us the exact opposite, and because that doesn't fit with these gooch lickers' narratives, unfortunately it gets tossed out, it's not relevant, and now we continue the cycle where only the biggest dumbasses are putting out information that people will run with. And if you run with anything that is different than that or disproves that, you're labeled a rage baiter. I'm sorry guys, but I'd rather be a rage baiter than being on my knees slobbering and salivating for Activision and Bobby Causmic. If that's your lane, you can do it. Dyke Dynamite exclusive disgrace. I understand, man. It pays. I get it. A lot of you guys think rage baiting pays the most, but hey man, when you really look at the numbers, you can tell me who's pulling in more views, who's got more subscribers, who's pulling in more ad revenue, and the data will show you time and time again, even if their channels are currently dead because they're non-interesting, the people that sit there and make bubbles with Activision's meat, they are the ones that are profiting the most out of this. And when you call it out, yeah, I'll get paid for it. You hate to see it, I guess. But I guess the data that we provide is just irrelevant and it doesn't work. I don't know how it makes sense, but we really sit here and listen to absolute idiots just spew out their neck. And if you think I'm being harsh on this guy, listen, I'm not the one that put this guy on a platform. I didn't put him on a podcast to start talking nonsense. And I haven't seen the rest of this podcast. Honestly, I'm not interested. But if there's any point in time where any of the other co-hosts out there just show him the data and the information and just tell him like, yo, can you explain this? If you really believe the player counts weren't available to Activision back in the day, can you explain this image? If you really think those old Call of Duties didn't retain players, can you explain why Black Ops 2 years after launch still maintained hundreds and thousands of people playing online at one given time on one single platform that was outdated? And this is the other issue I have with people that don't do that. Like, you seriously need to just yank that scrote down, like, really show your balls. Huh? Okay? And tell these people, yo, what you're saying doesn't make sense. When we have these content creators that have interviews with Treyarch and Infinity Ward and they sit there and they're like, why do you include SBMM? And then they respond with, oh, well, the data shows that it actually retains players. As the person who gave the question, you should sit there with your balls on the table and say, can you please show us that data? And if you can't, how are we to believe you? Or you can take it a step further and show them data that literally contradicts their statement. Why don't we have people with balls in the Call of Duty community? I guess if you have balls, you're labeled a rage baiter. I guess that's the point that we've gotten to. And I understand the gooch lickers are probably having a frenzy down in the comments below, just punching the walls, like just sobbing from both eyes. Please, again, before you have any critiques for me, answer my first goddamn question. Show me the data that shows that the player counts are significantly higher on console than it is on PC. Show me that there's more people on Battle.net or Game Pass than on Steam. If you don't have that data, I'm sorry, man. We're not taking you serious.
Bro, your receptors is down, homie. Your receptors is down.
And if you want to sit there and believe that the older Call of Duty games didn't retain players despite screenshots, despite the people that are showing you the evidence right then and there, look, man, honestly, you're just a lost cause. You're better off unclogging toilets at Wendy's. And if you really want to sit there and say that current SBMM retains players, show me that data. If you do not have that data and you're taking Activision at their word, please remember how many times these people have lied to you. They steal breast milk. They have Bill Cosby shrines. And you're telling me you will trust their word? Are you dog shitting me? But hey, man, if that's the route you go, I can't control what you do. If you want a gooch lick, that's you, man. All I can say is I feel genuinely horrible and sad for your dentist, man. But that's gonna do it for me today, guys. I'm curious to know what you guys think about all this. What do you think of the portion of the Call of Duty community that tosses out certain data that doesn't fit with their narrative that Call of Duty is definitely, most certainly not dead? Let me know down in the comments below, and if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell notifications to stay up to date with my newest videos, and yeah, guys, it's been the boy Fooly. Have yourselves a good one. I'm out of here. Peace.
This ain't in my body.